Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, where the topic is Streamline Your Manufacturing Projects with Adaptive Portfolio Management. My name is Doug Welsby, and I'm also joined by my colleagues Jose Levy, Steve Tabaji, and our special guest, Jeff Bikulik from Microsoft. During today's webinar, attendees will be on mute and the line will not be open for questions. However, feel free to use the GoToWebinar question feature to submit questions. We'll address these questions during the webinar, and we'll respond via email if we do not get to your specific question. If for some reason you get distracted or pulled away from the webinar, no need to worry, as I'll be emailing the link to the presentation once it's been posted to our YouTube channel. I'll now turn the presentation over to Jeff.
Thanks, Doug, and thanks OnePlan for hosting this, and I'm so glad to participate. I think I have worked with Doug for a dozen years now, or maybe up to 10 years or so. It seems like forever, but I appreciate the expertise that OnePlan and your whole group brings. And I just wanted to take a few minutes on the beginning here to really share what I get to see in the marketplace. I have the luxury of working with 100 PMOs a year or something like that, and in the manufacturing space, it's really exciting. I think this whole return to work from COVID has put manufacturing, in a really good place where those smaller steps of innovation and change of the past have really become, a mainstay of how the business is coming back to a new normal. And I just encourage us to really think about what I would hope are three things that we really all focus on, and OnePlan and your support helps our customers get to these types of things. And I think change is now the norm, and projects are always going to be now mainstay to making sure that every company can get through this change. And I don't think it's going to go away. And my view is there's really, three things we should all kind of keep top of mind or in front of us, or our personal mindset. And the first one is, what are we doing to minimize the quantity of time that people, or the amount of effort people have to find the next task, or to assemble a team, or to get a new project going? I think we're just in a moment of change, and it's just going to come faster and faster. And the second thing is that we do have to take a portfolio approach. Certainly, we all have so many new impacts in our life and all the things we're trying to deal with on the home side. But on the work side, if we never remove work or cancel projects or rescope projects, I don't think it's realistic that we can just keep adding. So I encourage all of us to think about what kind of value we can create by removing some things from our project portfolio that perhaps aren't as important as other items in that list of work. And then the third thing, and I have some children that are now young adults, and I speak with them about practical matters, but I encourage all of us to bring this back to our workplace and say, what percentage of the team are we actively involving in our decisions? The millennials, the work from home, and the amount of individuals we can touch now. It's no longer a water cooler mentality. We have digital access to so many individuals, internal and external to our own organizations. Let's think about how we can really include a lot more people in what we're doing. And as I've had a chance to reflect on this return to work type scenario, I was recalling Christensen's book on the innovator's dilemma, and how do we move from this more navel gazing or smaller view of what we are asked to do to really getting to a place where we can expect ourselves to be part of a multiplier effect. Let's think about 10x, 100x type growth, and what's that going to mean about adopting a new principle instead of paradigms, really thinking about dealing with complexity and focused on a matrix, multi-organization, multi-department, multi-whatever type industry. And I applied that to project leadership, and I really think there's a few things we all have to do. And again, it ties back to this recent learning we all had during pandemic and how we're trying to get back to a new normal. First of all, I think we have to reflect on, multipliers happen when people take personal ownership. And I think we have to really identify what's the individual motivation people have for being on a project team, and that they identify with its outcome and its mission. I also think key to it is the wellness of the individuals. They need to feel that the quality of work they're doing is really motivated, linked to their satisfaction. And that's going to keep them motivated to focus on that big win type innovation. And we all have, gotten really good with the tools we're using today for this meeting, and Teams and Outlook and everything else. But collaboration is the new communication. It used to be, find people in the office and bond over the lunchroom conversations and things like that. But I think we have to recognize that this new electronic or digital media collaboration is our new communication. And the better we do that, the better we're going to have these really monumental kinds of changes that projects can bring. And then lastly is the word multi. We've heard, we're going to hear more today about agility and responsiveness and being adaptive. And it all means trying to connect these very random individual aspects of role, department, project. In manufacturing, you have geographies and plants. It's becoming a much more connected world, and the projects have to do the same thing. In Clayton Christensen's book, he talked about some of the things that really cause organizations to be great. And you can kind of see them here as process and resources, and making sure you're focusing on the right incentives and you're not putting in structure for the sake of structure. And when we take those same principles and bring them into project leadership, I think there's very practical things we can do. Tools are going to be really important, and I'll leave it up to OnePlan, and I'll leave it up to the platform that Microsoft brings to do that. But let people and teams work how they want to work. I once worked for a governor, and he said the hardest thing to do is steer a train that's not moving. And I think that's where we're at as project leadership, is we have to make sure these teams are keeping busy, and that we're focused on making visibility happen based on the tools that they want to use to be successful. Where do they start their day each day? And let's use that as the point of connection to identify. To my earlier point is we really need to step back and think about this portfolio connected thinking, is using data to really juggle what we do weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annually to make sure the best value projects are bubbling up to the top, and we're setting aside things that are consuming the talent and time of each individual. Because if we can free up the talent and time, I think we're really going to have some bold innovation and some room to experiment and make some things happen. And then lastly, and I still hear this, I was just on a call yesterday with a fairly mature project management organization. We still have to challenge ourselves to do more about resource optimization, is really thinking about where does the talent lie, and how are we looking at data to either by discipline or by role or by bottleneck, how am I freeing up the resources that are going to let more come through the machine and allow us to drive innovation and place bigger bets. And then lastly, back to that incentives thing. And I know the younger folks, it's not all about the compensation anymore. I think we're all working from home. We have a limited exposure to our world, and it's really going to come back to making sure the incentives about how projects get delivered, how people get assigned to projects, how visibility to success of projects is aligned to their personal happiness. We all motivated differently, but the words around achievement and validation, belonging and flexibility, even the personal control over what we do and don't have access to, I think is really important to making these teams work. So I look forward to our conversation today. I throw out some things about, a horizon-based approach to growing, digitizing, and transforming. And this is core to what Microsoft's doing with our platform, but it's about reducing effort. It's about innovating across different methods and methodologies, whether that's agile, lean. I think lean is the most exciting thing for me in the manufacturing space now. It was introduced obviously in the early 80s, and I was a college student and doing my internships talking about lean. I think we're now in a place where lean is the way that work is being delivered on these teams, and really we're just catching up. I think today's technology delivers on yesterday promises, and lean technology is really what we're looking at, and it aligns so well with the buzzwords around responsiveness and agile. And then lastly is, I think we all can feel confident that we have an opportunity to extend the influence of project management. I think this is now mainstream to how work's going to be delivered going forward. So I'm excited that we have a lot of things to, expand the influence of a project management organization, the tools we're able to introduce, and the coaching and the incentives we can put around this project work, which is really going to be the norm for manufacturing and for all organizations going forward. So Doug, that was my, thoughts on what I see out in the marketplace. Microsoft is all in on this. We're trying to make sure people have the tools to work the way they want to work, and that we're giving organizations the information they need to be successful. So I'm happy to be part of these webinars. I'd be glad to interact with everybody listening in and make sure that Microsoft offers all the support we have as an organization to make sure they're successful.
Thank you, Jeff. That was insightful and very inspiring. So we appreciate that perspective. I'm going to take us now a little deeper into our topic of manufacturing portfolio management. And following on what you stated on change, one perspective is that it's accelerating. In other words, it's we're having to do more change constantly, due to everything, both technology and the conditions around us, especially this year, and which means that we're in a constant state of transition. In other words, the way we were operating last quarter is very different than the way that we're operating this quarter, is very different than the way they're planning to operate in the next quarter. And following your insights on transformation, it's something that we have to be aware of. So as we get into manufacturing, here's some survey data on what's on top of mind of manufacturing leadership. These are all in some aspects fairly common to all industries, but in others, specific to the domain. And what struck me is that all of these end up being a portfolio of initiatives, which, as you said, is something that we need to focus on, and the portfolio will never go away. And in a lot of cases, these are a blend of technology and non-technology initiatives, as you see there. But if you want to actually get to that transformation level, you're going to have to address these specifically. Microsoft has a specific set of initiatives to address manufacturing and the Microsoft framework for manufacturing. There's specific initiatives within the playbook in order to transform the manufacturing organization. A lot of them tied to that prior slide that I showed, where we have the portfolio of initiatives. And it's also broad in the sense that it not only covers discrete manufacturing, but all the related manufacturing industries. And here you can go to Microsoft manufacturing website and see exactly how they address the vector. But again, in every case, these are portfolios that are going to help the organization adapt to the current condition and transform to a new normal. In all of these cases, there's people, process, and technology, which is what will make up the initiative of change. And the tying back to what you said earlier about value to customer, this is really oversimplification of I took this from Adrian Cockcroft's view of value and what time to value is, which is that we need to do some work. We know how long does it take to do that work, and can we actually translate it to value to a customer? Now, if you really take this and scale it to an organization level, and then see the time that it takes to actually perform and take that value to the customer, I think that's where the challenge is, and that's where portfolio management and adaptive portfolio management can yield better results, because we're talking about breaking down silos, changing organizational structures, legacy organizational structures, and becoming more product and program oriented, so that we can focus on reducing the time it takes to deliver that value to the customer. So we use this slide a lot to talk about the journey that an organization can take, the characteristics are shown there in terms of how we go from traditional project portfolio management to more of an adaptive approach where we're blending new ways of work, principally agile, and then organizations that have done the shift left to agile portfolio management. There's no right or wrong in terms of how organization does it. You have to move left because you have to go faster, and as you go in from traditional project portfolio management to adaptive portfolio management, you achieve those gains and efficiencies, and again, being able to deliver more value to the customer. So you can see that in adaptive portfolio management, we're talking about having agile and waterfall methods. You neither might dominate, it just depends on what you're delivering. And you are seeking a way of looking at both sets of projects and data collectively, so you can make decisions like Jeff said about focusing on those projects that deliver the most value. In terms of our platform, OnePlan facilitates that journey that no matter where you are, and allows you to go from traditional, if your industry or projects mandate that they are traditional, give you the ability to incorporate anything that is digital, which should be done in agile, and then complete the journey if you can for that part of your business in order to go full agile portfolio management. And you can see that we're incorporating project, which continues to be the best tool for managing waterfall projects. In the center, we have Azure DevOps or any other team planning tool, agile team planning tool that you have. And then on the very left, what would be full agile, where everything's going to be done in Azure DevOps or your team planning tool. OnePlan allows you to incorporate all of that within portfolios, as you'll see in a second, to manage any modality as you shift left. So before we get into the product, I'll just do a quick introduction. We have OnePlan as a way of connecting the work that is being done by any tool from any of the teams, preferably the Microsoft clouds, to the top-down strategy and portfolio planning that's taking place by leadership and product owners. From a solution standpoint, we have a portfolio module, which is where we get to see the collection of projects in different perspectives in different ways. We get to do what-if scenarios, summary roll-ups of resources and financials. The resource plan allows you to see how your entire resource pool, all of the folks within your organization have been planned to participate in initiatives. Again, whether they're waterfall or agile projects. The financial plan allows you to define very specific budgets, actuals, forecast of those initiatives. And then you can see how in the bottom we have our work plan that brings in the data for Microsoft project, new project, and any other tool that your teams might be using, or the agile planning tools that we highlight on the right. Everything is within Power BI. The solution has a status reporting capability, but also the ability to exploit insights through Power BI. One additional element that I want to highlight is that we are including within our portfolio plan the ability to define our objectives and key results. So this is something that is very prominent now. The focus is on outcome-based planning and the ability to ladder an entire set of objectives and key results from the very top corporate goals to what would be business unit or product goals that are then driven by initiatives or epics that have their own key results. So this is, in reality, is nothing new. It's just that it's becoming more evident, given that we have the ability to track better and better technology, we have the ability to focus more on objectives and key results and how everything in an organization can contribute to reaching corporate goals at different levels. And then finally, this is an important component. Everything has to be connected, which means that there are no more monoliths. All data has to be available to be evaluated within portfolio management. So in the context of OnePlan, we have a connector that comes with a platform and allows you not only to connect the Microsoft clouds, but any other tool that is of importance in order to do your portfolio management. So we have, the team planning tools, financial management, work management. You see all the different line of business system categories that can be added, and really there's no limit. I think that's one of the benefits of modern portfolio management, that this is easier to do now, and it should not be a limitation in order to integrate all of the data sets that are required in order to make good decisions on which initiatives and projects to undertake. So with that, I will hand it off to my colleague Doug, who's going to give us a quick overview of the right side of the picture.
Great. Thank you, Jose. Appreciate the introduction. As we start to look at this solution and a demo of the different tools that we can use for manufacturing and project and portfolio management in that category of, or that segment of customers of ours, the business agility spectrum slide that Jose showed earlier, what I'm going to do is focus more on a traditional, or what we're branding here, an adaptive project management focus. Jose will cover the agile portfolio management approach with our OnePlan solution. But in this adaptive side of this slide, we're going to be focused more on a waterfall approach with perhaps a bit of agile mixed in, but with a business process flow that'll largely resemble a more traditional approach like I'm showing here, where we're thinking in terms of developing a strategy for the organization, but largely creating new projects, selecting those projects, planning and managing them, seeking specific outcomes. So I'll be showing you that in the context of Microsoft Project Online, with a little bit of injection of how our OnePlan tool integrates with Project Online and how you can use that solution as you're working your way through that whole business agility transformation journey over to a more agile approach for project and portfolio management. So I'll first get started with this demonstration of Microsoft Project, and we'll think through that process of create, select, plan, manage. Before we drill into those different steps, I'll just give you a very, very quick, rudimentary, high-level tour of Project Online and remind those of you on the phone that Project Online is highly configurable. This is a demonstration environment we have with a specific look and feel and layout, with these tiles easily accessible to allow users to get through and do dashboarding or access training, to get through and click into the ability to submit new ideas or to submit a timesheet, as an example, if you're doing timesheeting within the tool. If I navigate through to the Project Center within the solution, here we're able to very quickly see a summary view of projects that are either requested within the tool, have currently been approved, or are perhaps in progress. And of course, there's a security model in place with Microsoft Project Online to limit what users are able to see and or to facilitate providing access to executives to all of the projects or all of the initiatives within the tool based on roles, responsibilities, and the scope of the work that they're performing. And then finally, there's a wide variety of flexible views available as you're thinking about this portfolio of work you're delivering. And we could very easily pivot this view not from the workflow state, requested, approved, or in progress, but we could be focused instead on products that we're delivering within our specific organization or within our business And in this case, we have a product focus here on this one product line we're shipping. Here's some other projects that are related to a different product line that we're focused on. And so of course you can easily group, filter, and or report on and see a variety of different pivots on that data and access the information that's important to your business role within the solution. So let's think about create and the submission of new ideas, new proposals for work within the tool. And we have a couple of different approaches to doing that with Project Online. The first and easiest approach is just through a simple list, where here we have a list of new project requests that have been submitted into the tool. You may choose to open this up to all of the users within your organization to effectively allow them to brainstorm or to do ideation, where everyone can submit new ideas or proposals for work, and you could use this as essentially a bucket to collect all of those proposals and then do some weeding out within this interface to reject or put some of them on hold if they don't make sense, and or even approve some of them and then workflow it through and make it an active or a live project. So we've demonstrated this a number of times in various webinars, but effectively we're able to gather information, sufficient information within this view to allow us to make some decisions about whether or not to go forward with a particular project approval, and then start to gather additional details about those as we make further decisions when we think about selecting projects for approval and delivery within the context of the Project Online solution. So this simple list can be used throughout the organization, or within the Project Center, you might put a little more framework around how projects are submitted and workflowed through the tool by using the out-of-the-box capability within the solution to, for example, submit new proposals for work such as new product development as a specific enterprise project type that we're delivering. You'll see there's some other proposals in here. If you're doing Six Sigma and approaches to manufacturing with a Six Sigma framework or approach to that, maybe that's your kickoff point for new projects. Essentially, these are initiation points for specific project types that could potentially optionally also include a template for the schedule for delivery, or links to a configured SharePoint site that's specific to merger and acquisition type projects or others. So it's as simple as submitting a new project request in here, capturing some initial information about that, and then taking those new project requests through a selection process. And if I revert back to this other view where we show the projects by summary, further analysis of those projects through a whole requested, maybe approved, and then into a delivery state of those project plans. So that's kind of the create phase. That's how we can submit new ideas, or a more formal approach to submitting new project demand through this project center. So let's think about selection now and how you select which projects are going to be delivered. And every organization has a different approach to this. Native to Project Online, you can tackle this essentially with three major elements of information. And the first area is called business drivers. So within Project Online, you can configure your business drivers, ones that are specific to your organization. In this case here, we see a driver library with a series of drivers that we have configured within the environment, such as expanding into new markets, improving customer satisfaction, improving product quality, for example. And we're going to use this to measure the potential impact of a new project on those business drivers. These are what's important to your organization. You want to expand into new markets or improve product quality. And you want to attempt to measure the potential impact of a new proposed project on these business drivers. So we have expanding into new markets. We have a description for it. We have some project impact statements. And these are where you can essentially eyeball those various project business drivers and then make a decision that, for example, will have a moderate project impact because we think that this newly proposed project is going to help to grow the revenue by, for example, $500,000 to $1 million a year. So we use those business drivers to assess the impact of our newly proposed projects. So what does that look like for the end user? Because this is configuration that's done by the PMO working with business leaders as you make some decisions around those business impact statements. When we look at an individual project, such as this social networking integration project, on the strategic impact page, which is made available early in that life cycle when you're creating new projects and going through a selection process, this is made visible to the project submitter, the person that's entered this information or this new proposal, and they're able to go through and say, well, we think this is going to have no impact on improving customer satisfaction, or we think it's going to have a strong impact on expanding into new markets and segments. And if that's the case, then this particular project is going to float up in the list of priorities for someone who's focused on production or growing the business, and it would focus down, for example, in the list of priorities for someone who's focused on customer satisfaction. With no impact there, why deliver this project? So we can use those business drivers early in the life cycle of these projects as we're first workflowing them through, thinking about whether or not it makes sense to our organization. This particular project is early in the workflow phases that we've designed for this demo. We're initiating this project, trying to make some decisions about whether or not it makes sense, and gathering that strategic impact information is going to prove very useful for us as we go through and assess the value of this project. Now, before I show you the portfolio analysis, there's also some summary information we could gather, and relevant to this particular project might be some financial information, such as the estimated budget for this particular project. If you're doing CapEx and OpEx, we could optionally enter information about that as well. And then also early in the life cycle, you may begin to build out a high-level schedule, or perhaps a detailed schedule if you're working from templates, because you're interested in understanding what the resource requirements are for this project. So with those 3 bits of information, the strategic impact drivers, very valuable and very useful, with some high-level cost information about the project, and then with some resource estimates around this project, we can take that 3-step approach towards business driver analysis and portfolio analysis for this portfolio of projects. So here we're looking at the 2018 portfolio analysis that we've gone through previously and saved a variety of different scenarios. What if we only had 10 million? What if we only had 3 million? What if we just looked at the baseline cost constraint scenario for this portfolio? And I'll back up 1 step to show you that initially, based on those business drivers, we arrive at a list of prioritized projects where we're seeing that the health assessment reporting tool is the highest priority, representing 5% of the value of the portfolio. And way down here in the list is the lowest priority project. Again, based on those weighted business drivers that are important to this segment of the business doing this analysis. So we can review priorities here and get a weighted list. Of course, the next step is important to most organizations as we start to assess budget. Do we have enough money to deliver on this portfolio? So initially, when we open this interface, all of the projects have been selected. So we're seeing here 29 projects with an estimated value of 100% within this portfolio, meaning if we deliver them all, we'll get 100% value out of the portfolio, but we see it's going to have a cost, $25 million. And the question here is, what if we don't have 25 million? Let's constrain that. All we need to do is enter a new budget estimate, recalculate this, and we'll see a new answer. So if I recalculate that and save it, which I've done, let's look at that $10 million scenario. And what we've done here is we've constrained the portfolio analysis and limited the budget to $10 million only. And by doing that, you'll see that cost constraint visible over here. Let's keep it under 10 million. The tool's done that. It's gone through and said, our selected portfolio is only 9.8 million. But what it's also done is tried to maximize value. And so we see here that it's selected a grouping of projects that represent 90% strategic value within this portfolio. In the lower half of the screen, we see we've removed some projects. As it turns out, some of them are actually a fairly high priority lined up against the others, but given the cost of those and the desire to maximize our strategic value, that's where we end up with this list. These are the selected projects. Now, again, we've done this in many other webinars, gone through a structured demonstration of this. We can walk through other scenarios, but ultimately land with this force in scenario where I've said, I want to constrain this to 3 million. And the CEO said, we're delivering this project. We forced it in no matter what the impact on the selection ends up being. And we're respecting that cost. We have a good selection of projects. We're ready to go. And the next step, of course, can be resource analysis as we step through and examine whether or not we have sufficient resources within the tool and within our project online environment to deliver on those projects. So I won't continue with this deep dive into these scenarios, but of course we can go through different options here, such as adding resources, hiring additional people, rescheduling work, moving things around essentially in order to be able to determine whether or not this collection of projects has sufficient resources and makes sense for the organization. And then of course, finally, the next steps in this are going through and delivering and planning and managing these projects. So here we can carry on and use, of course, the strengths of Microsoft Project and Project Desktop combined to edit this plan, to start to assign human resources to replace maybe some of the generics we have and deliver and manage that project. We'll have full insights into the project as we're planning it. And then as we're delivering the project and managing those, we have full reporting capability in the solution as well. That being the Microsoft Power BI interfaces for reporting across your entire portfolio and having visibility into this whole portfolio of projects. Now, as you begin your agile transformation journey, OnePlan offers solutions that integrate with Project Online to facilitate a more agile approach to selecting where you invest. In a few moments, Jose is going to deep dive into this. But first, let's take a look at how OnePlan can get you started in the context of Project Online. So this social networking integration project, I showed you a few moments ago, how we can build out and capture some high-level summary information, such as the estimated CapEx or OpEx costs. I showed you how we could build out a preliminary schedule to allow us to identify what the resource requirements are. But what if you wanted more details about the estimated costs and need to structure it over multiple years with multiple cost types where we need to detail how exactly we're going to spend our money, OpEx, CapEx type categorization, view the total CapEx and OpEx costs alongside a total budget, and view the budget requirements over multiple fiscal years. And that's where our OnePlan financial plan tool can assist you with that exercise. It looks like a spreadsheet. It's used on screen, just like you would use a regular Excel spreadsheet off the side of your desk to do this, but it's fully integrated with the Project Online environment for you to capture a financial cost estimate, complete with roll-up totals that can be used in that portfolio analysis exercise. The other thing we could do with OnePlan is, rather than building out a detailed project schedule or an estimate to capture your resource requirements, because that's hard, to be honest, to build out a comprehensive schedule with all of the different tasks and resources assigned to them just to get a resource estimate, only to find out later on that perhaps that project did not make the cut. So what we can do is, with our OnePlan Resource Planner, we can provide you the functionality to build out a resource estimate over time using a mix of human, such as Grace, or generic, such as this project manager type resources, and have immediate visibility into whether or not those resources are over or under allocated within the context of Project Online using these OnePlan resource plans, and make some decisions about your go, no-go for this particular project without building out a project plan. We have no tasks detailed here, just the resources, a timeline, and an initial resource workload estimate. So it's fairly straightforward to get a financial estimate and a resource estimate directly within the OnePlan tool, again, inside of Project Online, fully integrated with that solution as you build and begin that agile transformation journey. So I've shown you adaptive project management in the context of Microsoft Project Online. I'd now like to turn the presentation over to Jose, who will take you through this agile transformation journey and show you agile portfolio management with the OnePlan scheduling tool. Jose?
Thank you, Doug. So in contrast, what we want to show now is the next step in your agile transformation towards adaptive portfolio management. So in this case, you can see that I have OnePlan directly within teams. And really what we want to do is we want to leverage the capabilities of OnePlan to get to that adaptive stage where we have both agile and waterfall projects integrated from any experience that anyone in the organization might be using in order to bring up all of the work that will get us to a program and a portfolio outcome. So you're looking at OnePlan portfolio, and here is just a very basic summary view, portfolio financial summary, where I am, again, summarizing all of the projects that belong to programs and portfolios. So that's one of the first things that is interesting about OnePlan, that it allows you to manage a planning hierarchy. We call it a planning hierarchy because you can build, as you can see, in whichever way your organization is deconstructing work in order to reach to that customer value, you can build it within our plan types. So here we have portfolios, which are made up of programs, which are made up of projects and epics. And again, this is a very simple one. We have the ability to extend this even further if you wanted to go underneath epics and have features and stories and so on. You know, the other benefit is that you can focus at a specific level. So here I'm looking only at projects, or I could be only looking at epics and projects. Here I've combined them, but I'll deselect so you can see these are only epics. In other words, here these are work that is being performed using agile methods. You can see that we're integrating from different tools. So in this case, we're combining work that's being performed in Jira as well as in Azure DevOps. So when you first come in, you can, depending on your role, you can focus on that specific element that you're working on. I started a portfolio, so I might be a portfolio manager or program manager, and you can see that the summary roll-ups at these levels are also shown if that's really, you know, where I am. But let me take you from the beginning in terms of ideation. So Jeff mentioned innovation. Doug showed us kind of the traditional approach using Project Online. So with OnePlan, you have the ability to come in and create new ideas. These ideas are within the solution. Again, we're within teams, so you really don't have to go anywhere else. These could be also, coming from SharePoint if you wanted to open it up to the entire organization, and then bring into OnePlan just those that are going to be considered will have merit to move forward. Some interesting, takeaways here. First of all, the idea has a life cycle, so you can decide who in the organization is going to receive this idea in order to turn it into an actual initiative. You can have a form, just like we've had in the past. You can have a business case, just like we've had in the past. Really important, and I'll jump to this in a second, is that we have the ability to associate the strategy, okay? So in this case, we have a number of objectives. These could be also key results. In this case, we're doing alignment to objective, but again, we could do the key results, and we've selected that this particular mobile timesheet app is going to impact our launching new products successfully. So important here because we're actually doing that alignment to our objectives and key results. Once I complete this, I can then convert it to anywhere within my planning hierarchy. So from idea, I can take it to any of the areas. In most cases, it's going to be an epic or a project, but you could take it to any of your areas. You can see that we have the ability to easily convert that within OnePlan. And you can see that we have the ability to also define the perspectives of the ideas as they come in, only focusing on high ones, medium ones, or low ones, in order to get to the ones that are going to be converted using our prioritization score, because we have prioritization criteria. So again, using OnePlan in order to drive decision making of that innovation that we're looking for. If you're seeking the more modern perspective, you can see that we easily turn the ideas into boards. In this case, we're looking at their state, and the budgets are being summarized in totals. The colors are actually showing us the priority. So there's a lot of controls here in order to very quickly be able to make decisions and turn from something that's proposed into active. So these are active boards, and also at any time you can go in and either see the data set or make a change on the criteria that is going to drive this initiative forward. So we could very easily move here, make a change, and then get a higher prioritization score, again with the right permission. In terms of whether you're using a lean business case or any type of business casing, that can be included directly within the tool. And again, we're still within teams, within the ideas area of the solution. How did I do the association to objectives and key results? But we do have a way of actually managing your objectives and key results. And in this case, it's very simple. One level of objectives and key results. We could have multiple levels of objectives and key results, but in every case, you're going to have objectives that are going to have a detailed form and are going to have associated key results, which you can create from here directly. So you could be drilling down and into your objectives and seeing how your key results are, and we'll show in a second a report that actually gives us a status of these key results by objective. But just for effect, I will drill down here just so that you can see that we can come and update our current key results in order to get to the attainment of this key result that's going to measure whether we met the objective or not. So very easy way of determining where we're at, and we also have status report and dashboards associated with key results. So the leads that are managing this key result, we'll be able to come in here. In this case, we're looking at product engagement score that we need to reach, and over time until the end date, we need to have associated initiatives that are going to allow us to get to that metric. So it's all now within the portfolio. If we go back to our portfolio solution, we'll drill down a bit, and I'll take the role of a portfolio program manager to see exactly how the different components of the portfolio are performing. You can see that I have my projects or epics. And these are, real active links in the sense of being able to, get to that. Here's a proposed project. It looks to be on track. We haven't started it yet. If I wanted to actually, see any of the work that's been done, this is actually using Project for the Web. So I think it's important to show how we can actually connect all the experiences within the Microsoft clouds. There's a lot of other tools out there that claim to do this. We actually allow you to integrate the data set and be able to, again, drill down. I think the beauty of this particular tool is that anyone in the organization can belong to this project. Anyone could be contributing to the success, actually all the way up to the metric of this particular project as it ladders up from project to program to portfolio. If we go back, again, as the project is being executed, I'll be able to see the status of that. Similarly, you see here that we have within my world-class customer support program, I have an agile epic that's being done. Actually, this one looks to be both waterfall and agile, so we do have the ability to also do hybrid. So again, I'm drilling down within my program to see exactly what's going on, and I want to show, in this case, my pop-up block, how I can connect directly to Azure DevOps in order to see what's going on within my epic. So let's continue within our journey here. So what is the value of being able to do this? Well, I said we're going adaptive, which means that we have both waterfall and agile projects. In every case, we have a detail page that allows you to manage a specific life cycle. In this case, we're at the work plan. So like I said, we have a backlog that's being delivered from Azure DevOps. And I wanted to show the detail page. We have a traditional waterfall life cycle. So again, this is one of those projects that's being done in a hybrid manner because we do allow, OnePlan allows you to do that. You can see the full data set here. As we move into the details of the project, one of our strengths are financials and resource planning capabilities, our ability to manage budget, forecast, actuals, and benefits, our ability to do resource planning for any item that you brought into the solution, and again, the ability to manage committed resource plans, the scheduled resource plan or timesheets, and the ability to compare over time frames to see how we're doing one versus the other. And then finally, as I showed, our work plan, where we can have a waterfall project and an agile project all together. I'll go ahead and change the task so you can see the waterfall component of it. And I wanted to, show that you can actually have a connected project plan to the waterfall component. This is interesting because in an adaptive mode, you would be doing, in this case, we're combining or showing both the waterfall task as well as the agile backlog that's coming from Azure DevOps. And to leadership, how is this valuable? Well, you can see here that if we went into prioritization mode, as Jeff said, we would be able to then decide how we're going to prioritize our portfolio based on that prioritization score that our business case yielded. And we can bring in, budget, benefit, and ROI additionally as criteria, and then look for the higher priority, higher scoring projects that need to be our higher priority. So we have a 69 here in Deliver Agile Solutions that unfortunately is ranked as our 15th project. We could very easily, pick up that project and move it up into, maybe a top 10 project. So there's more here that we currently have time for because we do have the ability to roll up financials and roll up resources together with any type of prioritization scenario, as well as show our Gantt. So I encourage you to look at some of our other webinars, and also I'll show in a couple of minutes our trial link, so you can go directly to the solution and give this a try. Again, this is OnePlan directly within Teams. You can see here, and I just wanted to make point that you can have different parts of the organization could have different solutions. So we have our Agile Portfolio Management solution here, as well as our Adaptive Portfolio Tree. And every project that's created, as you see here, had its own Microsoft Teams. So the teams are actually going to be coming directly into the tool and working with OnePlan directly embedded together with the rest of the Microsoft Cloud for collaboration, whether you want to rely on SharePoint, OneDrive, and any other even project for web directly linked within the solution itself. So it's a great way of taking that next step of having the entire organization move faster by working in an adaptive fashion. With a couple of minutes left, I'm going to move now to close our webinar. So one interesting case study I want to just chat over the last couple of minutes. This is ChampionX, and this is an organization that sought our assistance in order to transform their innovation pipeline. So in this case, working together with them and their innovation leaders and the Microsoft solution, OnePlan was able to deliver that new capability that the organization was seeking. This is very important to them in their corporate evolution, specifically, given what they were going through on a corporate basis. But in the end, they are now using this solution, have a healthy innovation pipeline, and seeking the benefits of being able to deliver greater value to their customers through the new products, and also involving all of the stakeholders through their innovation lifecycle for their products. For them, it was important also because they were able to use the Microsoft platform, Microsoft project, as well as OnePlan to bring it all together. So like this one, we have several. We love to share them with you in order to give you that perspective of how we can add value through our capabilities. In summary, talked initially about the rate of change and constant transitions that demand a move to adaptive portfolio management. Jeff led us initially through a deep dive on innovation and the requirements for innovation in this time, and again, focusing on that greater value delivery. As we showed you, we have the ability, no matter where you are in that agile transformation journey, to move to adaptive portfolio management as your next step, or agile portfolio management if you're ready and adaptive. And this is really an inevitable change imperative for all organizations. You're going to have to be moving in this direction, given the need to, again, focus on the customer and get the entire organization working faster to deliver that value. So I'm going to close our webinar and want to thank you. We are OnePlan, and we are a business agility transformation partner. As you can see, we're made for the Microsoft clouds, but we can integrate really any other tool set that your organization might be using. Our focus is portfolio management and all other applications within the Microsoft clouds, and in creating efficiencies within that specific domain. We leverage all of the Microsoft clouds in order to deliver that value and that transformation that you're seeking. We are the Microsoft Partner of the Year for 2019 and a finalist last year. So we are one of the larger partners in this business, delivering the greatest number of implementations for Microsoft. And you can see our competencies below where we have actually delivered value for customers, project and portfolio management being the primary one. as a gold certified partner. Our expertise, allows you to leverage our capabilities, not only for the implementation of OnePlan for, I call it the bookend, because over here we have our advisory services. So in the words of our advisory lead, everything starts with a strategy conversation on how are you going to take that next step of improvement. And we have a business strategy workshop framework that allows you to articulate what is feasible versus the desired end state and the phases that you're going to have to take in order to get there. And we can make it happen by just having that first business strategy conversation. Our work as the lead project portfolio management partner has us in a number of organizations, both large or small. Everyone has their own specific set of requirements and their own particular process and ways of achieving the improvements. And again, our broad experience that in manufacturing specifically, we have a number of important case studies that we can share to allow you to get to that next step. I encourage you to go to AppSource. The solution that you saw is there in addition to some additional ones. Feel free to have a trial and make contact so that we can help you go through that trial and understand how it would apply to your organization. We do have supported trials also in a proof of concept mode. So please go to AppSource and then make contact so we can do that personalized demo for your organization. Thank you very much for your time today. On behalf of Jeff Aguilic from Microsoft and my colleagues at OnePlan, thank you for your time. And please look for our next webinar within our website where we will share more insights on how we are helping organizations. Thank you.